Welcome to the Rise with Anita podcast, the space where soul meets strategy and dreams are no longer optional. I'm your host, Anita Kurdayan-Kyrgyz, a transformational mindset coach and founder of the Her Method. This show is for the woman who knows she's meant for more, who feels the call to rise higher but sometimes feels trapped by her old stories, patterns, or circumstances. Here we don't just talk about growth, we embody it. We activate the woman inside of you who leads, who creates, who claims her next level. You'll hear a mix of solo episodes from me and interviews with soul-driven leaders, the best in their fields, who live what they teach and rise by example. Each conversation is a catalyst for your next breakthrough. You're not broken, you're breaking through. Let's go ahead and rise together. All right, welcome back to the Rise with Anita podcast. I am so excited for today's episode because I had found breathwork at a time where my life looked on the surface to be, well, everything you ever would have thought it was. But inside, I was tired, overwhelmed, and honestly just disconnected. So my first session was with a student who had trained under today's guest. And even in that moment, I knew that this work is different. And it cracked something open in me that nothing else had. So the experience led me to seek out this source. And that source is Jason. I'm sorry, forgive me. What was your last pronounce?
Amoroso.
I will have this edited. Jason's a former attorney, performance coach, a father, a husband, and the co-founder of Revelation Breathwork alongside with his wife, Maura. What makes him different isn't just that he teaches it, it's how he lives it, grounded, present, no fluff, and just deep embodied truth. So Jason and Maura have been my personal teachers, and I can honestly say their work has changed my life and how I relate to myself, my body. And in this week, we are going to go deep into Jason's story, into what breathwork really is, and into how you can start connecting with your own truth one breath at a time. So let's dive in. Jason, thank you for being on.
So excited to be here. Honored to share with the community. Thanks, Anita.
So let's just dive right in. For someone who's never heard of breathwork before, how do you describe it in the simplest way?
That's a great question. Well, the first thing I'll say is that breath work is a generalized term like meditation. There's a lot of different kind, or probably yoga. There's a lot of different types of meditation. There's a lot of different poses and different things that you can do in yoga. And that's probably not even the right word term to use, poses. But breath work is the same. A lot of people hear breath work, especially as it's becoming more popular, and they think it's any breathing technique. What we do here is we call it revelation breath work. It is a form of Durga pranayama, and it's not even really about the technique. But revelation breathwork, I would say, is a very simple, and that's an important part. It's a very simple, accessible, safe tool that helps us get out of our head, where pretty much all of our suffering lives, all of our stress, all of our anxiety, all of our guilt, all of our shame, all of our worry, all the things lives in our thinking. And then I would say I would call it the brain, the intellect, the cerebral part of us, and it helps us get out of that and drop into our heart. Some people would say drop into the body. Just a different experience where our center is, where calm is, where peace is, where generosity is, all the things we want, kindness, our feeling empowered, all of those love, all of those things, and that's what Revelation Breathwork does. It allows us I would say I'm calling it a cool way because a lot of people struggle with traditional meditation in that as they get still, their brain gets more active. As they're like, some people are like, I'm not supposed to have any thoughts, and this doesn't work because I have a ton of thoughts, even though meditation's really about observing your thoughts and allowing them just to come and pass through. And what Revelation Breathwork does is when we play music and we get into this active breathing, there's a rhythm, there's an activity of it. This is why I say it's the work in breathwork. It can sometimes feel like work.
Definitely
The
can.
music, the beat, the energy, it kind of tricks our brain because our brain wants to be doing something and accomplishing something. So when you lay down and you start to do this active, simple active breathing technique to the beat of music, your brain's like, okay, I'm getting it right. Our brain loves to get things right. I'm getting it right. Belly, chest, exhale. I'm doing this. And so it feels like we're doing and accomplishing. And then before you know it, after about 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes, that part of the brain that's narrating your life and evaluating everything and just nonstop that we get confused is us, which it's not us. It's just that voice. It's just that voice in our head slowly fades, and we're still very much aware, and we're breathing, and we're aware. Oh, I'm here, but that monkey mind, that voice, has been quieted, and so we can experience ourselves in a different way. Outside of all of the attachments, all of the fears, all of the thinking, all the things that we just said. And that can be a new experience for a lot of people. And when you, I know I'm talking a lot. When you go and you combine that with music and certain kind of music that we play at Revelation Breathwork, because words are powerful, lyrics are powerful, poetry is powerful, as well as music, which transcends words and language. It's its own language. But when you are in this open state, and I'm sure if we looked at the science, it would be some kind of uh, uh, different brain state than we are when we're I should probably know theta, beta, alpha. Honestly, I don't care
Sarah,
about
that's
that
a good.
part of it. It's probably theta. I don't care that much, honestly. Maybe that's really bad, but I don't care about all that stuff because of the experience is what's important. So when your brain is open in that way, you have access to really hear. You might hear one line in a song, one lyric of a song that is something like I believe in you or you got this or just something that cracks your heart open. And sometimes that's all it is. It's one line. And it's like, oh my goodness, that is so powerful. I feel myself. I feel my heart. I feel connected to myself again. I feel, here's another thing a lot of people say after they do Revelation Breathwork, I feel like myself again. Whereas the world is kind of like oral hygiene. As you go about your day, as we eat, all this stuff, food, whatever, builds up in our mouth. So we got to, hopefully, you're brushing your teeth daily and flossing and doing all things to have nice oral hygiene. Same thing energetically. As we go about our day, we're getting things done. We're doing chores. We got kids. We got work. We got bills. We got all these. We're busier than ever. We're more distracted than ever, especially with phones. And so, just like energetic hygiene, we don't even realize how much, I'm going to call it crap, builds up. Stress, fear, messages of fear, the news, this, the economy, relationships, all the things. It just builds up without us being very conscious and aware of it. And so when we enter that still space inside, we realize how much we're holding, how much we're carrying. And Revelation Breathwork is just this really beautiful, it's like an energetic hygiene to clear things out, if you will. One of my favorite, I would say, funny explanations of Revelation Breathwork is it's like having an energetic enema, which was meant in a good way. It just like clears you out, returns you to yourself. We forget who we are in this busy day with all this other stuff. We're responding to the external, that it allows us a space to go within and remember who we are. Remember that, and we're all weird. We are all weird people. We all have unique, not synchronicities, whatever that other word is. We
It's
all have our, what's that?
energy.
Energy, or there's another word that's like synchronicity, like our own unique traits and our own preferences and our own history. And it's like we get to just embrace who we are, accept who we are. We all have unique gifts that maybe we don't realize or step into and own. And in that still space, we can just be like, oh, this is who I am. This is me without all the noise, without all the past, without all the labels, without all the expectations, without all the strivings of what I'm trying to get and do in my life. It's like, oh, it's just this that I call me. And it's enough and it's good. And so that's how we define healing is that it's not fixing something that's broken or repairing something that's been damaged. It's simply remembering who you already are as this spiritual being. And as a spiritual being, you are made in the image and likeness of God. So you are already whole and perfect and complete. But again, we forget that. So we think we're missing something. So we try to add a whole bunch of stuff, but you can't add to something that's already whole and perfect. And you can't get rid of anything that's already, you can't damage or lessen something that is inherently whole and perfect too. And so healing is just a return to your own awareness of your holiness, of your wholeness. So that's what Revelation Breathwork means to me. And that's what the consciousness that we teach in our facilitator trainings, as you know, as a facilitator, there's no agenda. There's no trying to get anyone to feel anything or release anything. As simply as a facilitator, I'm just holding this space. Excuse me, holding the space of knowing who you are and that your life is perfect for you. Everyone has their own unique spiritual curriculum, and your life with its challenges and your desires and all the things are perfect for you. The mistake we fall into is that we compare our journey to anyone else's. Oh, look what they don't have to go through, or look what I had to go through, or look what they have that I don't have. We just compare, even spiritually, all of it. Biggest mistake we make. Your path is your path. All the unique things, all the relationships in your life, the ones especially you don't like, they're all your teachers. So most of us are like, how do I fix this? How do I get rid of that person? How do I just get out of this uncomfortable situation when we're actually being invited into it? How can I see this as the gift, as the blessing? How can I see that person who I hate or I judge, who annoys me? Or whatever, as my angel offering me lessons and gifts of love, of forgiveness, of knowing who I am, of speaking my truth. Like it's all for the purpose of growth and learning and expansion. So that's another way that a facilitator of Revelation Breathwork sees life. So when you come as a breather, I'm not there to fix you. I'm not there to make you feel anything. I'm just here to love on you right where you are, knowing that you have all the resources and you're moving through everything you need to move through to expand and evolve in your own consciousness. And that's perfect. That's enough. And it doesn't all have to happen in one session. Sometimes it does. And 10 years of trauma and whatever is lifted in one session. I've had people say that. And other times it's like, well, that was just a little bit, but that's what that person needed. Just a little bit to crack the door open because they're not ready for the to release the 10 years or whatever it is. So basically the message of all that is just I have implicit trust in the universe that everyone is exactly where they need to be at all times and it's all working out for everyone's favor. It's just we don't see it that way. And that's why we suffer. Long answer to a short question.
It's okay. I'm loving this. I think just my personal experience was the fact that it brings you back to your essence, and then you're able to really go mind, body, soul and connect. Whereas I feel like when we're operating in our day-to-day lives, it's very disconnected and you're very in your head if you especially if you were in the corporate realm, very in your head, disconnected from just kind of the greater purpose of what life was. So for me, it would be the one way I could quickly snap into like, okay, maybe the first 7 minutes I'm going, holy crap, there's a lot of thoughts here, and it's kind of monkey minding. But then eventually you're like, oh, I'm getting into this place of flow. And I didn't even realize when that switch happened. It just did. So it's been one of my favorite tools, definitely. So let's go back right before you started Revelation Breathwork. Who were you then, and what was your pain, the pivot, or the pull you felt that you needed to discover that led you to discover breathwork as a healing tool?
So the reason that I discovered what we call Revelation Breathwork, because it was just called Breathwork at the time, my wife and I were going on date nights. We have four boys who are now, the oldest is soon to be 20 and the youngest is 12. So back then, 10 years ago, it was about 10 and 2. So we needed date nights. And for 3 or 4 months, my wife would say, hey, let's go to this breathwork class in Brentwood. LA's got all this kind of stuff. And I was like, not interested at all. No, thank you. I just want to go out to dinner and connect. And finally, whatever happened, it was like, let's go. And the first time I went and did this, blew me wide open. I had experienced something like that. I would call it a mystical experience. I was crying, I was sobbing, I was having conversations with God all in like 45 minutes. And I felt like the weight of the world was lifted off my chest that I was carrying. I had experienced those, what I would call mystical things, experiences, probably 4 or 5 times in my life up until that point. But they were always seemingly at random. And so this was like, oh, this is a technology that I can access that space whenever I need, whenever I want. And why wouldn't I want to stay and feel connected to God, to my heart, to my power all the time? So at that time, I just started working for the San Diego Padres baseball team as the director of professional development, which basically means I was responsible for 250 athletes and about 100 staff members in terms of mental toughness, peak performance on the field, personal growth off the field, leadership, all that stuff. And I was a coach at that time, a performance coach. I had a master's in spiritual psychology. I was also a lawyer before that, but I had a master's in spiritual psychology. I'd been coaching for about 8 or 9 years at that point professionally, and then this tool. And immediately I was like, I got to bring this to the athletes that I work with. And it's a game changer, no pun intended. And it was. Um, so I brought it to the athletes, and since then, it's been 10 years now since I've been practicing and facilitating for people, thousands of people all over the world, from Navy SEALs to my kids' middle school, class to Emmy, Oscar, what's the other one? Grammy award winning billionaires, regular people, just any human. 73, at least 73 countries I counted because when the pandemic hit and we were online, we had people from Mongolia, the Canary Islands, South Africa, every continent was represented coming and doing this work and all having the same experience. So, and then when the pandemic came, and we went online, I saw a path to take the leap that I'd been wanting to take for a while, which was to go from more full-time corporate, doing great work. I mean, how many people would love to work in pro sports? There's only 30 teams in baseball, so I had an incredible job. It was a lot of travel, and ultimately that's why I wanted to transition out of it and do more of my sole purpose work, which is helping people find their purpose and live in their entelechy, which is like their reason for being, which has nothing to do with what you do, but who you are and how you're showing up in the world. And Revelation Breathwork is an incredible, simple, accessible tool for that. So the pandemic hit, and I didn't never done this online, and all of a sudden we had 100, 200 people in a Zoom room breathing together saying, "Oh my God, what the heck was that? I've done breath work, but I've never done anything like that." And I would say it's the technique, but it's really the space again, to have this free space to just be yourself, to express yourself. Not many people have that in their life. And so I saw that it could work, meaning I saw that I could have this side thing become the main thing. And that's when I took the leap. I left pro sports, great job, a lot of security, and became a solopreneur and started Revelation Breathwork mostly online. And we moved from California to North Carolina, again, doing classes, serving people all over the world. And that's what we're still doing today. It's been 4 years now. That was, again, I don't know if I answered your question, but there you go.
You did. And honestly, it's interesting kind of watching the mirroring of dynamics that we've got going on because it's like you already started to feel that inkling of knowing what you're meant to do, but then you weren't capitalizing on it until the pandemic gave you the room for it. And for me, I think the funny thing is now that I'm looking at how I'm stepping into the world and showing up now, I noticed the pandemic was kind of like the crack of where I was starting to realize my purpose. And then now I can fully say that I'm walking into it. And it's funny because I've started to pull people who have been part of that journey at different points, including yourself, into this kind of space with the podcast of like, okay, how can we make the world a better place? Because I feel like, especially right now, with all the chaos going on, just constantly you're bombarded on the news with some sort of something new and activated. And it's like, well, how do we slow down? Because real time, we're not actually meant to have that news coming at us at such a quick frequency, but it's how we're living, especially in the social media day and age. So
Yeah, and let's ask a question. This is going to be a little bit challenging, but why? Maybe we don't need to make the world a better place. Maybe the world is exactly what it needs to be. Maybe it is, again, if we're using the analogy of a school, it's like you don't change the school, you just use the lessons that are there. So many people want to make the world a better place because I think they think then there'll be less suffering, but really it's them suffering. So going back to very Gandhi, it's like be the change you wish to see in the world. If you want to see a compassionate world, be compassionate. Then your world is compassionate. You will find compassion and be compassionate wherever you are. You want to make the world a generous place, you be generous. Doesn't matter what anyone else is doing because you know you can't control anyone else. So I actually don't think the world needs fixing or saving. I think the world is perfect as it is. It depends depends what we're meaning by the world. But I think it is all part of this bigger, it's Earth School, let's call it that. And again, if you, it depends also how you're identifying. If you're identifying as the ego, which of course in Miracles defines as a tiny mad idea of separation. So that in consciousness, we had this tiny mad idea that somehow, what would it be like to be separate from God, but really the all that is, that there's one life, and what could it look like? Is it even possible for me to be outside of that? And so that creates separation and that creates the ego. And then that fragments into an infinite number of possible experiences of being separate. So, the to me, the soul is already whole and complete. So, I'm here to wake up to that, to remember that, but more importantly, to live from that place, to express and expand more of my light. And that doesn't necessarily mean to make anything better or different, because that's again a judgment from a certain perspective that things aren't the way that they should be, and that's why we suffer. Things aren't the way that they should be. Once you can accept that things are just how they are, and I get to choose my perspective, how I'm going to show up, how I want to see something. And one of the great ways to see something is again a line from A Course in Miracles, which is there's only calls for love and expressions for love. That's it. And the response is the same, to be love. There's only people calling for love or people expressing love. That is it. And if people are calling for love, for me, my response is to be loving. If people are expressing love, my response is to be loving. One of my things that I'm so about right now for my own sanity is simple. It is so simple just to say, what do I need to do? Who do I need to be? If I want to be love, let me be love. I don't have to worry about anyone else. That's my job. So to go back to it, maybe the world doesn't need fixing or saving. Maybe the world's not broken or damaged. Again, if you are a soul who's like, let me incarnate into the human experience to learn lessons, to go on an adventure. When you play a video game and you have a character that you're playing, your character dies, or your character, falls into a pit, or your character is hit challenged, you're not like, oh my God, that's me. No, you're like, oh, it's my character. I'm going to keep playing the game. And if my character dies, I'll start over and do another one. And I'm going to learn and get experience points. What if the soul is the same thing? What if we're not these bodies, but we are souls having a human experience to level up, to grow, to expand? Changes the whole game from that perspective. Now, that doesn't mean we deny our feelings. That is, it's not about bypassing and just taking that because again, that can be in the intellect, which the intellect doesn't want us to feel. So we can think we're staying safe and not feeling by staying in the intellect and spiritualizing in the intellect all of these things and not feeling them. But we're actually being invited to feel fully and not identify that we are our feelings or that we are our thoughts. So it's a totally different experience. It's to be fully in the world, but not of the world. And that is something that Jesus taught. He's one of my main teachers, really not through the Bible, but through another teaching, A Course in Miracles, which is a channel text of Jesus, and also The Way of Mastery. So if anyone out there is looking for two kind of new spiritual texts, I would highly recommend both of those.
I am just so grateful that you went there because that used to be one of my favorite tidbits that you would go off on during our facilitator training because it would be that constant reminder that suffering is a state that you choose.
And you know what doesn't like that? It's not people. The ego
No.
doesn't like that. The ego identification does not like that. It wants to argue for its limitations. It wants to argue for suffering because the moment you see that, the ego's game is over. And the ego's whole purpose is just to survive, is just to keep its existence. And as we wake up spiritually, we realize that, oh, I might have an ego. It's just a tiny mad idea that I took seriously. So once I realized that the ego, and I still have one, I'm still having this human experience in a body. So I'm not saying that I've transcended that, not that, but you don't even have to transcend the ego. So it's like, yeah, it's not a bad thing to have an ego, and it's also not who you are.
Absolutely. Okay, so what would you say your life was like before breathwork, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then now, obviously, the vast difference?
Well, it's been a decade. It's been a 10-year journey, and I can't attribute everything to just the modality of breath work. But I could say who I am now versus who I am 10 years ago before that was a big part of my life. I would say I'm the same person, and I have more perspective. All the things that we shared. Like, it's one thing to know something intellectually, spiritually, these teachings. It's another thing to use your daily life to actually embody them and to know them, not just understand them. Understanding is intellectual. To know it in your bones and your being, where you don't question it, you don't doubt it, that's a different thing. And that happens through life. A great line in the way of mastery is your daily life is your ashram. You don't have to go to an ashram and live there for years to find inner peace. Like, no, you use the conflicts in your marriage. You use the things you're striving for and the setbacks and the failures and what it brings up inside of you. Oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm doing it wrong, or I can't figure it out. You use your daily life as your spiritual refinement tool. So I can't just say it's Revelation Breathwork. It's all of these things that are happening. It's life. My brother died of pancreatic cancer after a 9-month battle, if you want to call it that. And I grew more from that than anything else. I did use Revelation Breathwork and facilitate both as a breathing practice and facilitating it for others as a container, as a space for grieving. And it's so weird to grieve someone while they're alive, but you know they're probably going to die because of stage 4 pancreatic cancer. But you want to be hopeful, but you also are grieving them. It's such an interesting experience. But yeah, more permission to feel my feelings, especially as an overthinker and an intellectual. It's like, ooh, drop in, feel, be present. So versus 10 years ago, I feel like the same person, but I'm also different. More space to feel my feelings, more compassion for my human experience, a deeper knowing of myself as divine, not in an ego way. It's like we're all divine. So to say you're not divine is actually like disrespecting in a way, like God. No, claim it. Oh, I feel it. I know it. There's something magical in here, in me, and also in you. So it's like ordinary, but it's extraordinary at the same time. So it's just a greater awareness of these things as realities versus as like understandings and things that sound great and things I agree with. It's like, oh, I'm much more at peace. My wife says I have the most fear, which I have a lot of fear, but that's because I also have the most faith. So my faith has even deepened even more, and I'm okay with that. I think I'm more accepting of the broad spectrum of emotions of the human experience. I can be really afraid, and I can be really in faith and trusting, and that's okay. Whereas in the past, it'd be like, oh, I'm afraid something's wrong. How do I get out of that? How do I not feel this anymore? What's wrong with me? What am I thinking wrong that's causing this? And I try and then I'm going insane, trying to get out of the fear, and I'm probably more afraid. Whereas now it's like, oh, I'm just afraid, and I can see why I'm afraid. And I can see that there's nothing I can do to get out of it, and that's okay. And that's huge. I mean, to have that level of acceptance on a broad range of all the emotions, all the thoughts, um, makes life so much better. It makes it so much simpler, and that's just what I'm looking for these days is simple. And that's what I invite people in to like make it simple, to not like on some level we want different. We're trying to fix, change, get our needs met, get our desires, manifest and create. The more that I've gone on my spiritual journey, the less I'm about manifesting. Like, sure, I want things in the world. I want my business to grow. I want more people to help people. I want to make more money. Like, who doesn't want all that stuff? I want to go on more vacations, all the things. I want that. But it's like at the end of the day, and I've read so many books and all the teachers and manifest just to get the thing that you feel like you, it's like, I don't know. The more, and maybe it's I'm getting older and there's the phase of life I'm in. And it's like, I don't know if any of that shit means anything, honestly. So I have a lot of not doubts, but like I have less answers than I did 10 years ago, that's for sure. And that's okay. And maybe that's the wisdom and the growth. And if any of your people are in this corporate world and trying to make this transition to like, oh, this life doesn't feel like it fits, can I say something to that that maybe is not prompted at all? I think a lot of people are trying to get out of corporate because they see it as cold or uncaring or it's not their passion, which might be true. Not everyone is cut out for entrepreneurship. That is 100%. It is freaking hard. It's hard. It's challenging. It's a lot of failure. It's a lot of struggle. It's a lot of doubts for me, and I would consider myself successful entrepreneur, and it's still really hard all the time. And I'm doing something that I love, so it's like it's a good hard. And I'll say this, as people, let's say, heal a lot of their patterns and their old crap and their limiting beliefs, and which sometimes put them into corporate and they were really successful. We can be really driven and make success and make money and rise and do all these things out of wounding. We don't want to feel less than or not enough, or we want to show our parents or the expectation. So we get into corporate because it's the right thing to do. It's the safe thing to do. And you got to be successful. So we do that and we get there and we realize that didn't make us happy either. And so we want to leave that's corporate. That's the problem. No, no. Too many people think, oh, let me heal and then I got to do something else. Not necessarily. What if we brought the light? What if we brought a healed person into that environment? If we had a lot of healed people into the corporate environment, it would just change the nature of corporate and it would be this hard, uncaring, money driven, whatever thing to this, maybe this compassionate place. Maybe this compassion doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want either, by the way. There's still structure, there's still rules. You still need that divine masculine, but it's not the only way. It's like the intellect is incredible. I know I'm going off. The intellect is incredible. It's great. The masculine structure and focus and goal oriented is amazing, but it's not the only thing, which is why more of the feminine qualities, which men and women have, by the way, we all know that, of intuition, of feeling, of slowing down, you need them both. And they've been out of balance. So it's not, oh, screw the patriarchy, because then you're alienating half the people on the planet. It's like, no, how can we round it out and create an environment that rises both up and honors both as equally as important? It's like any team. You go further through the sum of your parts. Is that it? Right? Yeah, like the parts together versus one and the other. And so, what if we brought more of all the best things to the corporate environment? Because that's where the people are. Like sometimes getting out of corporate is just a way to escape. Where if you brought your gifts, your talent, your light, your healing back into the same place you were, but you're different, your experience will be different. And you have no idea the ripple effect on all the other people that are miserable in the corporate environment, blaming that environment. And you could be the light for them to help them wake up. And as they heal and more people heal, and then we come back to common missions and do amazing things together, the world changes. But that's not the goal. It's not to change the world. It's just a byproduct of more expressed, healed, joyful, compassionate, courageous people.
Well, this conversation definitely took more of an Age of Aquarius turn than I was expecting for it to. But I love this.
I mean, isn't that what people like? I mean, all these podcasts about like wellness and all this stuff. It's just like I think people want the weird. So many people are like, oh, this is this without the woo. People want the woo. People want the mystery. People want the unexplainable. They want that, but the brain doesn't, because the brain can't get it, doesn't understand it, so it feels risky, and we want to minimize risk. We want to stay safe. So the woo and the unexplainable and the mystery. Let's talk about evidence based and science based. That's why I like don't give a shit about that stuff. Excuse my language. Like it's important, it's good, but like I'm not at the mercy of that stuff. It's like, what is my experience? That's real for me. I'm going with that. So, anyways, yeah, more
Absolutely.
woo, more weird, more mystery, less trying to figure everything out. How about that?
Less strategy.
Yeah, and strategy has its place, but not the only thing. And strategy doesn't keep you safe. Everyone's trying to be safe. When anyone feels safe, whether it's you feel safe with money, you feel safe with a partner, you feel safe with your sexuality, you feel safe in the bedroom, you feel safe with your health. Like if everyone knew we were going to live forever and we had all the money, then like get on with it. Now what are you going to do? You have all the money, you're going to live forever, you have all the greatest things you ever want. Now what? What are you going to create? What are you going not to contribute to society? No, because your soul has an entelechy. It's got a reason for being that adds to all of creation. It's the song in creation. What are you going to express? Not to add anything because it's already perfect and whole, but because that's what the color blue does. Because that's what a songbird does. It does its thing. What is your reason for being? And everyone has one. So that's what I'm about.
I love this. I love this, honestly. Um, so
I don't know if I've ever been like this on any podcast interview, by the way. So I've probably been way more reserved giving the answers that I think the audience wants to hear. So
that's
next.
okay. This is a welcome space for it. Um, so the next question I had was, let's take it for a beginner breathwork person. They're completely new. What would you say a breathwork session, Revelation breathwork, actually looks like?
What does it look like? It looks like you laying on the ground, closing your eyelids, and the technique is very simple. I think there's a YouTube video where I explain the technique. It's simple. There's no magic words, special strategy, 1,000 hours of training you need to go through. It's a nice, low, full, deep belly breath if you can. A lot of people can't do a deep belly breath because they're so tight, they're so stressed, their diaphragm is so tight. But that's what it is. It's about 80 to 85% of your oxygen. Nice, low, deep belly breath in and out through your mouth. We're not going to get into the kind of reason why it's nose breathing for the other 23 and a half hours of your day is where you want to be nose breathing in and out. But for these 30 minutes of active breathing, we teach in and out through the mouth. It has to do with the emotions, memory, all that stuff. But you lay down, you close your eyes, you can put on your own music or come to one of my classes. We put on music and you start breathing in this rhythmic way belly, chest, exhale. Big belly breath, chest breath on top of that, exhale. You find a nice rhythm, and then you just allow what in the first, like I said, 7, 8 minutes, you're in your head. What's the song? Especially if you're a first time, am I doing this right? I want to get it right because I want to maximize the benefit, right? We want to maximize and do it right. So you're going to be in your head thinking all these things. If you're in a live class, is that person doing it right? They're making too much noise. Like what's going on? You're in your brain, you're in your head. But if you just stay with it, you just, okay, let me see if I can just be present with each breath. And maybe you hear the lyric of a song, or you like a song, or you don't like a song. It's all great because it's all food for our own inquiry. Oh, what's going on inside me? I don't like this song. Can I be with myself as I don't like this song? Or do I have to now get into judgment and analyzing, and now I'm in my head again? And that's it. It's very simple. You do that for about 30 minutes. And at some point, you'll get out of your head. You're going to feel a lot of sensations in the body. You're going to feel things you have never felt probably in your body tingling, tightness, lobster claw T Rex hands called tetany. You might feel like your body's stuck to the floor and you can't move that much, or you might be wiggling and shaking and tremoring. That's how the physical body releases trauma in certain ways. So there's all these different sensations that you may experience in your body. You're going to probably, if you allow yourself, the hardest thing is just letting yourself surrender. Can I have the experience instead of trying to control it? So if you allow yourself to surrender, you'll probably feel some emotions, things that you haven't been wanting to feel, things you've been avoiding feeling, things you didn't realize were inside. I remember working with the athletes in one of the sessions, one of the coaches, uh, bawling his eye. I mean, I've had Navy SEALs 30 seconds into a song bawling, big grown men, athletes bawling, all different kinds of people bawling, because it's just like we're emotional beings. Like, give yourself permission. So, laughing, crying, bawling. People have had memories surface up that they didn't even realize were there. Conversations, like I said, with like dead grandparents or sibling, whoever you got on the other side, Jesus, God, aliens, whatever it is, always loving and benevolent in the space of Revelation Breathwork. Let me say that. Always loving and benevolent in the space of Revelation Breathwork. And you have the experience that you need, not the one that you want. That's like life. You get the life you need, not the life that you want.
Very accurate.
So, yeah. And then we I encourage people to make noise, make sounds, move the body. We have a song usually the way that we structure it where I invite you to let out a big primal scream, which is incredibly cathartic and amazing. And the best part, if people give themselves permission to let it out, which a lot of people don't for a lot of reasons that we can get into another time. We let out a big primal scream, and then we have the Shavasana portion, which is just like nose breathing in and out through your nose, where you just get to rest for about 7 to 10 minutes. And again, that's where you can have these really beautiful, mystical experiences. So it's awesome, and it's different every time.
So I want you to touch on something just because you kind of lightly mentioned it. What does a right breathwork session for look like for a person? Because I know I've been on the receiving end the first couple of times and I'd be like, Am I doing this right? I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
what I found the more I started doing it is the fact that even if it doesn't look the same as it did it before, which fun fact, no two breathwork sessions ever are the same. But there, I feel like technically the right session is the one that you can end up embracing whatever experience you end up getting out of it.
That's the right one. And I always encourage new people. So if you try this for the first time, it can be such a new experience that usually the first time people are in their head. So they're like, again, they're like, what's happening? First, they're like, what is this? Am I doing it right? And then they start feeling these sensations in their body, like, what's happening in my body? Some people are like, am I safe? Is this okay? Like, and they're just in their head the whole time. And it's a physical experience, like I just said. So I usually encourage new people to try at least 4 to 5 sessions. Because the second session, you're going to be like, okay, I kind of know what to expect a little bit. It's going to be, might be uncomfortable in my body. I might get hot. I might get this, these lobster claw hands, or the music might be, I was expecting didgeridoos and spiritual music and meditation music, and they're playing, Rage Against the Machine. They're playing India RE. They're playing Mumford and Sons. Like, what? John Mayer or Dolly Parton? Like, what the heck is this for the first time? So that's at least how I do it. Our other teacher, you can play whatever music you want. That's the music that I like to play.
I do it very similar. So
Yeah, and we do have a couple. We can do didgeridoos. We can do stuff without lyrics because people process music in different ways. However, that's why I recommend like 4 to 5 times so you can experience the breadth of this work. And what you said is true. No 2 sessions are the same because you're never the same. We are always in a different space inside of us. Even if you're going through the same thing on a Monday, you're going through it even slightly differently on a Friday because you're different on that day. We're different in every moment, so every single session is different. So that's why I encourage 4 to 5 sessions.
love that.
And as a practice, people are always, well, how often should you do it? Everyone wants the formula, the recipe. They want to be told what to do, which I get. I mean, in parts, I like that too. Um, and as a general guideline, for me, I think a once a week practice is where it's at because just like brushing your teeth daily, we energetic hygiene once a week, whatever that night or day is for you. And that's the hardest thing in anything good for us is setting aside the time, being disciplined to do it. That's why we have live classes so people can show up with other people and do the work. Once a week is good for me. Some people come multiple times a week. Some people come every day. Some people come once a month. Some people come twice a month on the full moon and the new moon. Like, find your jam. But like anything valuable, I would say have a practice. Have a practice that you can commit to and show up and do the work. And I've never seen people not heal, grow, feel better after doing this work for any kind of sustained time. We've had people that have been with us since we started doing this, which was 2015, and people online that I've never met in person that we've been for 4 years now. And then maybe I'll meet them in person if I go to LA and they'll be in LA. And it's like this weird, yeah, it's like the Zoom life we live in.
Next
Oh,
time.
you're a real person. You're not just a torso and a head.
Very true. Next time you're in LA, I have to come to a session.
Cool. Let's do it.
Okay, so what would you say, in your own words, is the relationship between breathwork, trauma release, and the nervous system?
Well, trauma is a funny thing, in my opinion. I think it
Mm.
is subjective. I think it is different for each person. So someone might be just as traumatized by not getting into the college that they applied for as somebody else, um, something that we would probably consider more traumatic and went through trauma. But it's so individual. The way that I define trauma is that it's something that our makes us it's something that feels unsafe for us. So everyone's threshold and capacity for feeling unsafe is different. For example, in my opinion, if you took someone like Jesus, his capacity for trauma is non-existent because he knows who he is. He knows that he is safe. He is not a body. That was part of the teaching of the crucifixion from a Course in Miracles and the Way of Mastery is crucify me. I'm demonstrating you are not a body. I'm not a body. You can do whatever you want to the body. That's not me. So his capacity for trauma was zero because he knew he was safe no matter what, which is a place where probably many of us want to get to. Other people feel risks and feel threatened every which way. So their tolerance for trauma is way, I would say, lower. So they feel trauma in everything. And sometimes we can even, the ego loves this to identify as trauma. Like, oh, that's my identity. It's who I am. It's what I've been through. And we cling to it. We don't want to, we say we want to heal, but we don't want to heal it because who would we be without that identity? And that's a hard one. That's a real one too. So trauma is different for everyone, in my opinion, in my experience too. So when you say trauma release, uh, getting into the revelation breathwork, getting out of your head into the body can help release whatever level of energy that we're labeling trauma, whatever's stored in the body is ready to be released. For some people, like I said, it's 10 years in one session. For other people, it's like 0.001% of their whole thing that's all that's what they're ready to release. That's what they feel safe to release. It's all about safety. So, that's what I don't even remember your question, but revelation breathwork and trauma release, it's like we release what we're ready to release, not what we want to release. Because what we want to is intellect. I want to release this, but our body and another subconscious part of us is like, no, not safe. No way. You're not letting go of that. Doesn't feel safe yet. So, and how do we feel safe? Love. Patience. How do you let anything feel safe? Love, patience, compassion, encouragement is how, in my experience, that we feel safe and we love ourselves while we're and loving ourselves while we're frustrated we're not healing or while we're identifying as I don't want to feel this way. Can I love myself when a part of me doesn't want to feel that way? So love is unconditional. No conditions need to be different for love to be present.
I think something that you said really hit home for me is the fact that sometimes we end up having to be ready before it actually gets released.
Yeah.
And for so long, for me, even, I've had these layers of kind of, yeah, layers that I've worked through with like an onion of healing relationships and whatnot and what that looked like. And I would be like, okay, I am eventually going to get to the root of this. So it would be like peeling back a layer. But then I would realize there would just be that certain level of healing that I couldn't say that I really felt until last year, where I started to feel neutral. And that was where I was like, oh, neutrality is actually a really beautiful thing because now I feel healed and I don't feel like I need to peel back any more layers of this relationship. So I think the big thing though was it was about peeling the chunks of what I was ready to work through at times in order to actually feel that healing and not necessarily judge it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why so many, oh my gosh, so many like wellness and even business, like how can I give you the best results in the least amount of time? It's like, let's heal you right away, all your issues in one session. Like that's so unrealistic. Like I don't know what you need. You don't even know what you need for healing. That's the whole point. I don't know what I need. But I'm just going to show up. And my intention is to let go. My intention is to open my heart, but a part of me, again, that's my intention, my intellect, my will versus the subconscious versus my higher self versus different layers of intelligence within me that are like, you're not ready yet. Like this is what we're ready for. Like, can you trust that? Can you be okay with that? So that's why all these promises on all marketing and stuff drive me insane because it's like it caters to the part of us that wants to heal everything and wants to get the result right away. And at least in healing, it's a process. It's not a result, and you can't control it. So that's what I got to say about
That
that.
one was just a mic drop.
Yeah. The marketer part of me wants to love that stuff because you could sell so much more to people who want the result for the least amount of money or whatever in the least amount of time. They'll pay anything. It's like that's not how it works.
Okay. So, how would you say that overall, though, it's helping people reconnect themselves with their intuition?
Yeah, that's great. Well, I think it quiets the brain, it quiets the intellect. Our intuition is not logical. It's not something that you can like just it's not like it is can be on demand, but it comes from listening, it comes from stillness, it comes from curiosity, it comes from quiet. It comes from trusting, practicing, developing trust in that inner voice. How many times do we hear an inner voice and we're like, nah, no, I'm not trusting that. That seems too, usually it seems risky, right? That's why we don't trust it. It's like, that doesn't make sense. I'm not trusting that. That seems foolish. That person will laugh at me. This won't work. And so we ignore it. Or like a red flag, like I don't want somebody to feel uncomfortable. So even though I'm getting red flags walking down this alley and there's a person that I don't know, I can't even see them, they're shrouded, but I don't want to seem like an insensitive person. So I'm going to ignore that red flag and walk down that alley and then something bad happens. Like, no, the intuition, like it takes time to develop trust. It takes a level of stillness. And it's not forever. Like I think everybody wants the answer, be like, oh, now I'm intuitive and I trust my intuition all the time. That's not my experience. Like, because I get caught up in the things in the world and my judgments and my evaluations and all the things. It's like um, intuition comes from practice and stillness is hard because the brain doesn't like stillness. The brain likes control, and control is worry and anxiety and strategizing and all the things. So and we're all naturally intuitive. It's like we're all naturally creative. So, yeah, you got to start somewhere. So I like just start asking the questions. Like asking, you could say asking God, you could say asking your higher self, you could say asking intuition as if it's a thing. Like, what should I do here? What should I eat here? What direction should I turn, left or should I turn right? What is life trying to show me here? What do I feel here? How about more of that for the intuition? What am I feeling when I walk into this restaurant? Does it feel light and open and expansive, or does it feel heavy and stuffy and closed? Like, start asking those questions. Make it a game. Make it playful. And intuition's a really powerful thing because all life is connected. And the more we slow down, it's like life's always working. That's the other thing. That's why it's like you don't have to fix the world. Like everything is always working in harmony. It's just our brain that doesn't like that or doesn't trust that. So if I see that, how many trillions probably of processes are working in my body right now? I'm not beating my heart. I'm not making new cells. I'm not killing cancer cells. I'm whatever. I'm not, detoxing. That's my liver's doing. I'm not making it happen. The grass is growing. Like nothing's making the grass grow. It's part of the natural order of things. And so our intuition is just being still up here so that we can hear and intuit and kind of know what's the next natural thing for us. It's natural, but in this world of busyness, noise, technology, intellect, it feels maybe not foreign, but it's like this other thing. So it's the
Beautiful.
easiest thing in the world.
Beautiful. I love your answers. Honestly, this conversation has been gold, and we're probably halfway through all the questions.
We'll have
Like,
to do a part two sometime.
yeah,
If
exactly.
people see what the listeners are, they like, we want more of this guy, or next.
I mean, I'm loving this conversation, and I'm sure they will too, just because there's so much that you've touched on from a perspective of like, it's spiritual. Yet I think there's a little bit of practical in there that our brains would probably be like, oh, no, this makes no sense.
Mm.
But it's intuitively divinely timed, is the way I'll put it.
Cool. I think spirituality needs to be practical, or else it's like, again, it's useless. It's just theory and nice ideas that we can agree with, but then our kid gets sick, the bills are due, we don't have the money in the bank account, or our boss is this, or, whatever. It's like, well, how does that apply in this situation? That's why your daily life is your ashram. Nothing's punishing you, nothing's hiding from you or testing you. It's like, oh, my life, not comparing my life to someone else, my life is my school, my classroom. And sometimes you have professors that you don't like. Sometimes you have people in your life you don't like. Sometimes you have classmates that annoy you. Like that's all part of it. It's all part of it. There's not a single aspect of your life, listener, that is not divinely for you. Now, your ego thinks it's happening to you, or it's a punishment, or something's wrong, and you got to get out of it. But what if you change your perspective and said, well, what if this is for me in some way? I'm acknowledging a part of me. I have to acknowledge a part of me doesn't like that and wants to get out of this and knows that person is wrong. Let's just acknowledge that, not resist it. And now let me see if I can get curious and see, well, what might this be teaching me? How might this help me open my heart a little more? See things from a different perspective. Maybe that's the gift. Or speak my truth in a way that maybe feels scary. Life is always conspiring for you. Conspire means to breathe with. Life is conspiring for you.
I love this. Actually, I recently did a podcast episode on how things that we consider triggers are actually just there for us to observe and work through rather than
Absolutely.
be reactionary to. Because for me, the more I've looked at what, especially the last 6 weeks, the more I look at the triggers that come up, I'm like, oh. That's interesting. Let me sit with this for a moment rather than making it an issue or it's the other person that's actually triggering me and therefore they're at fault because I realized my reaction is my responsibility.
They're triggering healing opportunity for you. That's
Exactly.
what it is.
Exactly. So, final question. What is the mission burning on your heart right now?
Hmm. I can tell you a project that I'm working on that I'm really excited about. It is bringing Revelation Breathwork to, because music is such a big part of the experience, to the artists that we play in class, the musicians, to their community. So, for example, one artist whose music is absolutely soulful, incredible. It's about the human experience, the ups, the downs, healing, love, heartbreak is Milk, Milck, capital Milck. She is incredible. We've been playing her music in class since I discovered it back probably in 2020, 2021. And so I had this idea, let's bring Revelation Breathwork to the artists, fans, and let them, because when I breathe, when our community breathe to a song, you experience the song in a different way. You just do. I've had so many people be like, I've heard that song 100 times. But until I did Revelation Breathwork to that song, I'm experiencing it in a whole different way. I'm feeling the lyrics more. I'm feeling the energy of it more. I'm like hearing something I never heard before. It's helping me heal. So, what if we brought that to all the fans of an artist? And so we did that with Milk. We had an event with Milk and myself where we had a Revelation Breathwork journey, all to a curated playlist of her songs for her fans, and it was absolutely phenomenal. People from all over the world on Zoom get to join. Whereas if your favorite artist, let's say you love Coldplay, if they're not in on tour or they're not coming to a town near you, you're out of luck. So imagine if all the Coldplay fans could come and join on Zoom and breathe together to incredible playlists of songs that is, music is a soundtrack of our life. It's ties to all the things, the emotions, the ups and downs. So now we get to do that together and partner with the band where like Milk was on the call, breathing with on the Zoom, breathing with her fans. So you get Chris Martin, you get Bono, you get whoever your favorite artist is. It's like, boom, here we go. So that's what I'm up to now, growing those experiences. The next one is with Sister Stone on July 12th. Sister Stone's a really cool, like medicine music, earth-based rapper out of Detroit. And then there's more collaborations in the works. So that's what I'm up to now that I'm really excited about.
I love this because I have to admit, half of my breathwork playlist is probably complementary to yours. And just over the time, because every now and then I can't do a session without my brain going, oh, this song should be added to it.
Well, you have the facilitator part, so it's a little different for just the breathers. They're probably not breaking down the playlist like we are in terms of the flow and all the things. So
Probably not, but either which way. And I think it's beautiful that you touched on how music is such a big part because I think my reason for connecting with breathwork at such a high level was because of the music. Because growing up, innate musician inside of me. So having that ability to connect with music still and have it be something that leads you through a healing journey was like this beautiful complementary experience that I hadn't seen before.
yeah, I love it too. That's why we do it.
Well, I want to honor your time and just thank you again for sharing your wisdom and sharing how amazing Revelation Breathwork is. It truly is a game changer. I will be leaving all the links in the show notes below for everyone, but I wanted to really honor and thank you again for just sharing this mic with me.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. And I would invite anyone to come try more than one class. Come try once, but stay for 4 or 5 classes. We have a 14-day free trial that you can jump on anytime. So you can get at least 2 or 3, if not 4 classes in during that 2 week period, or even 1 or 2. And we have live classes right now every day except for Thursday, various times because we have different people all over breathers all over the world. And we have a vast on-demand library, so a lot of people can't make the live or they don't like to go to the live, so they do the on-demand. And we have any like spiritual or personal growth theme or topic, we have a Revelation Breathwork kind of series on that from healing of the age stages to emotional alchemy to understanding your emotions to confidence to overcoming fear. I bring a lot of the things that I did in professional sports, the mental skills, and then combine that with breath work, healing of the chakras, like abundance and manifestation. Pretty much we have breath church. That's one of the things I love to do is breath church.
All my favorite.
Any topic you're like, oh, what about this? We have something that will handle and talk about that topic in healing personal growth. So it's awesome. Come check it out and come follow us on social media at revelationbreathwork.com. Well, at Revelation Breathwork on Instagram, YouTube, and revelationbreathwork.com. So thank you so much, Anita. Really acknowledge you for answering this call to share yourself, to bring to your community and people that inspire you or things that you think the world needs to hear right now or think about. So, way to go.
Thank you. Well, again, part two is probably going to have to come because this was just a magical
Is
conversation.
that where we talk about like the Galactic Federation and Pleiadians and all that? Oh, maybe that's a different podcast. We
Hey,
won't go down
might,
that road.
we might be able to go down that route.
That's
After
where it
all,
gets really weird.
I mean, it is Age of Aquarius, right?
That's right.
Well, thank you again. And for those of you who are happy to hear this podcast episode, please like, review, and subscribe so I can bring more of this magic to you. And feel free to reach.
Share with a friend. Share with a friend. If you like this episode, share it with somebody that you popped into your head while you were listening. Oh man, Judy would love to hear this too, or she'd get a kick out of this, or whatever it is.
Yes,
Share it.
feel free to reach out to me. Just let me know your thoughts, and I am excited for the next one.